Hey, this is Matt. Once again, welcome back to another review. There's another paid request, this time from Manuel. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Idea to be a topic, a commentary, a review, randomness, out of the blueness, uh, reaction, pretty much anything. Now, Manuel wanted me to talk about the director's cut of Daredevil from 2003. And I enjoy this film. I think it's underrated. I think it's one of the more underrated superhero movies. I liked the theatrical cut. I always liked it. I saw it. I think I did see it in theaters when it came out. But I enjoyed the direct... Yeah, I did see it in theaters. Because that year, 2003, a lot of the films I saw in theaters, I mean from, I think like Kangaroo Jack to Identity to Terminator 3 to, I think that was around the time, like, I think the Matrix sequels and Bad Boys 2, and there's a lot of different types. I believe that was the case. I taped him as like 2003 or 2004, but I liked it more than Spider-Man, and I still liked it more than Spider-Man. Which is funny, because I read Spider-Man more of the comics, and I rarely read any Daredevil, but I really liked the movie. No, I didn't watch the show, the Marvel show. I wasn't interested in it. And the more that people crap on this film, the less interested in watching the show. I know that doesn't make sense, just how it is, because I know Ben Affleck hates the film to death. I know everyone else hates the film to death, but especially the director's cut, I think, other than CGI that doesn't hold up well, it does have some good fight scenes. It has a really solid cast. I think Ben Affleck does a great job. I just say that with a straight face. Jon Favreau works well as his friend. And people have their radio on loud for some reason. I think someone said, "Hallelujah! Yes, hallelujah! Yes, exactly. Preach it, sister. Yes. Movie's not that bad. Praise Jesus. Praise the Lord." Great soundtrack. I love Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. I can never say right. Evanescence. Bring Me to Life and My Immortal. Won't Back Down by Fuel. For You from the Calling. I'm there for you. I like that song. Well, I really like the soundtrack to this. I remember playing the soundtrack multiple times. And you don't really have that for movies, let alone superhero movies. Like good soundtracks. That's not really a thing anymore. And this era, I mean, I liked Ang Lee's Hulk. I liked The Punisher with Thomas Jane. I prefer this era of superhero movies to the era we have now. Because here, it felt like Hulk, The Punisher, and Daredevil felt like three different types of superhero films. The Punisher was different from Daredevil. They were both different from Ang Lee's The Hulk. And you know what? I felt the variation between the three. I truly did. And that's a good thing. Now every Marvel film feels like the same damn movie you saw 10 times before. And I don't give a crap about this new Doctor Strange film. Doctor Strange and the Multitude of Ass. I don't care. This, though, I think the backstory, the build-up is good. As a kid, his dad is played by David Keith, who's a good actor. I did the director's cut. All these guys, they give me shit. Don't curse. No, what kind of shit? And about how, well, they say that you work for these bad guys. It's like, no, I don't, but he truly does. And the kid did well, got good grades, but when he found out his dad was doing this, he ran off. There was an accident, affected his eyes, but also made so that his other senses, because of this type of chemical, his other senses developed. He had this kind of sonar, radar, which I always liked the look of it. I always thought the radar Again, the sonar type looked really cool visually. Whether it be in the scene where he's looking at the girl and the rain is dropping and you can kind of see her face because of the rain, or at the end find the Kingpin and using the water in order to visualize. I always thought that was a cool look. Again, the soundtrack I got a kick out of Right Before Your Eyes, when the kid is training, getting better, and using his finite senses to figure out what he can do and can't do. And I thought there was some decent wire work and stunt work and sliding down banisters and flipping onto signs, and there wasn't as much CGI used in that. It was more wire work, and I think that was for the better. And you also did a Stan Lee cameo. Rest in peace, Stan Lee. So what happens is the dad, he's sorry about what happened to his son. He decides to be a better person. He's supposed to throw this fight. He doesn't. The dad gets killed. The son is sad. He grows up to be a lawyer. And the difference between the director's cut and the theatrical cut, number one, the director's cut is R-rated. The fight scenes are longer. The fight scenes, they're not as choppy. There's not added blood or gore. It's just there's a little bit added more cursing. But to me, it's better film because the theatrical cut tried to be more of a love story. The director's cut is more of a story of Daredevil as a character. That's the way I put it. The theatrical cut, hey, Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and Spider-Man just came out in 2002. So that was a love story in that, so make Daredevil a love story as well. But again, the director's cut, Elektra is there, Jennifer Garner is there, but it's more about Daredevil as a character, him being a lawyer. Everything is added back in about him taking this case with Coolio. I know, it's a weird choice, Coolio. But he's up for murder. Matt Murdock, as a lawyer, can hear people's heartbeat, whether they're lying or not, knows he's telling the truth, takes on this case, and makes the plot make a bit more sense as to how A goes to B goes to C. You get to see how Matt Murdock works as a lawyer with him and John. There's a bit more scenes of him and John Favreau working together. Like I said, the fight scenes feel more fluent. And because, yeah, that's what you want in an action film. Cut out action scenes. Never understood that. It's an action film. Yes, you want to see characters you like and other stuff, but most of all, they want to see the action scenes. Don't cut down on the action scenes, but they put those back in. And in a weird way, this is kind of a precursor to the Batman. And the fact and both have Colin Farrell. Where it's a guy who's a vigilante, and he realizes he's going too far, and then at the end realizes, wait, I'm not the bad guy. And to be more of the hero. Now they do it in different ways, but I'm a sucker for that type of story. And you get a bit more of his blind man routine, the director's cut. Like when he wakes up, you get a bit more of why he's in this casket tomb type of thing. Just when he's out, he hears all this noise all around. And in fact, this constant noise. And there's a bit added into the director's cut where when he's ready to go in, he hears all this crying, including what appears like someone being attacked, but he can't be anywhere. That's the thing, he can't be everywhere. He can't do everything. As much as he hates that, his body just can't do it. He aches, he's in pain, he's got to go into this, and he hates that no matter what he does, it's not enough. But he has to rest, otherwise he'd just be dead as well. But then when that thing shuts, cancels all the noise out. He can finally sleep. And in fact, when he wakes up, he's got to put this music on to ease up the sounds on the outside until he can regain it again and fully wake up. And his blind routine. How does he do money? Well, money, he folds it one way if it's one. He folds it another way if it's not. Or each one has braille. Again, the blind routine was interesting. Again, the director's cut shows a bit more of him as a lawyer, which was interesting. Paul Ben Victor, who's been in a lot of stuff. He played Mo Howard in the TV movie of The Three Stooges, where Michael Chiklis played Curly. Yeah, it was made for TV. I think it was shown on ABC back in the day. He plays a villain. For your sake, let's hope that justice is served today. But, Paul Ben Victor's a creep, and he's at a bar. And he did a great fight scene, great action sequence. Where, again, in the director's cut, it's more fluid. Just, you don't have little bits here and there cut out because the ratings board thought, well, no, that punch is too much. You can't have this many kicks. You can't have that many punches. Or is that PG-13 anymore? Like nowadays, I guarantee you they don't do that with Marvel. You think they fucking do that with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man? They don't do that with any of this new stuff. The ratings board. Now that Disney runs it. But back then, oh no, you can't do that. It's like, whatever. But even the R-rated cut, you could say that's PG-13. No one would bat an eye. Especially 80s version of PG-13. But again, the ratings board at this time period, from the late 80s to the mid 2000s, were just a pain in the ass. I wonder when that exactly changed. Because then you never hear that nowadays, of the MPA having an issue and a problem. I wonder when exactly that changed. But yeah, he's using bad guys to slide down on banisters. He's punching, he's kicking, he's using his using like a bow, and it splits apart. His batons beating the shit out of people, doing nice whirlwind kicks. Time to give the devil his due. Flipping off the wall and kicking. Like, this is more ass kicking he gets to do than Spider-Man did in the entire movie. I'm like, wow, this one scene is, again, more ass kicking than Spider-Man does in the entire 2002 movie. I like that. And there's a bit of darkness, and especially in the director's cut, where he finds Paul Ben Victor and ready to choke him out. Hey, how's it going? And because of this train, it kind of hurts his ears. I like the line. I think it's added into the director's cut where Paul Ben Victor's like, go to hell. And then he's like, okay, but you'll beat me there. Smacks him. Guy cracks his back on the train. Train's coming. And then Daredevil's like, that's not heaven. That's the C train. Now, granted, the motherfucker deserved it, but again, it's a development of where this trajectory will go for the character. It's an arc for the character. And Jon Favreau, again, for all the hate this gets, I think Jon Favreau does a better job here than as Hody or what the hell he is in the Iron Man movies. And the first Iron Man, liked him in it. But like being in the Spider-Man movies, I think Jon Favreau does better here. I think he works well with Ben Affleck. How come, when you disappear, you always come back with these bruises? What is it? Oh, okay, well, what do you want me to say? Fine, I'm in the Fight Club. Okay? And the first rule is you don't talk about Fight Club. And then Jon Favreau's like, well, I didn't see the movie. I'm sure it was a funny joke if I saw the movie, but... Or later on, what's this place you have here? Every time I go in here, I feel like I'm in the middle of Sanford and Son. I feel like... God, what was... I forgot the guy's name in Sanford and Son. Lamar? God, I forgot his name. But the way Favreau said was funny. But I feel like I'm in the middle of Sanford and Son. Jon Favreau and Ben Affleck worked really well together. They had a good rapport back and forth. And I thought at times it was rather sincerely funny. And the Jennifer Garner Elektra stuff, they cut down on that. There's a lot less of that in the director's cut. Now, Jennifer Garner as Elektra, I always thought was one of the weaker aspects of the film. I'm fine with her being in it. I still don't care for the playground fight. I still find that one of the sillier aspects. And definitely one of the more obvious wire work. Where they're jumping on the playground and you tell that they're using wires to balance on stuff. Granted, it's not as bad as the basketball scene in Catwoman. It's not nearly as bad as that. So it's one of those where I tolerate it. But it's if people ask me what's a least favorite scene, it would be either the CGI that doesn't hold up, but 2002 Spider-Man CGI doesn't hold up either. That's the thing, it's this era of CG that's just not the greatest of CG. But the villains, I think, worked. Michael Clarke Duncan, may he rest in peace, was wonderful as Kingpin. I like the song they use when you see him. I'm a dirty dog. I mean, it's a better song I make it sound like, but I thought it fit well. And Michael Clarke Duncan, no one complained. Oh my God, it's a black guy. Why do you have a black guy playing Kingpin? And granted, that stuff is done too much, where they just change stuff willy-nilly. I agree. And the new Resident Evil movie, that wasn't why it sucked, but Leon Kennedy, that's Leon Kennedy? What the hell? Huh? But how do I put it? You have to pick your battles as well. And every single time it happens doesn't mean it's every single time it's wrong. And again, I can understand feeling that with the way a lot of this BS woke stuff is pushed into movies. And I think Disney Marvel, you could push that more into that. But it's when people complain about that in the Batman on Catwoman, I'm going, this is the wrong hill to die on with the Batman, because Eartha Kitt was Catwoman back to the day. This is the wrong... And if you don't fight this, what about Nick Fury in those Avengers movies? Well, Nick Fury was black in a comic or two. Well, for the most part, he was white. And also, if you don't use that excuse, Eartha Kitt was black in Adam West's Batman. My point is, if you don't pick on that, if you don't pick on the Batman's Catwoman and Commissioner Gordon, then you gotta pick on Nick Fury and Avengers. But no one was doing that. Again, sometimes it's valid. But you also have to pick your battle. Michael Clarke Duncan was great as Kingpin. Loved him as Kingpin. You felt his strength. And in the director's cut, he takes one of his bodyguards, just breaks his neck. You hear the snap. Colin Farrell is a lot of fun as Bullseye. I like the idea of the bullseye on the head. I think that looked cool. Instead of... Because the costume in the comics is rather ridiculous. But I thought that looked cool, that... It's not even a tattoo. It looked like a brand on his forehead. And Colin Farrell was having a lot of fun. Which again reminds me of the Batman, which he had a lot of fun in that too. But I loved his Bullseye. He was having a lot of fun where he's playing with the paperclip and he puts it to the guy's throat. Or he's on the plane, the woman keeps talking, he puts the peanut and chokes this old woman to death. And when the flight attendant came by, I for a second I thought he was going to say, please don't, she's dead tired. Like steal Arnold's line from Commando, but he's a lot of fun in this too. When he meets him with Kingpin and the theatrical, he's like, I want a bloody costume. But here he goes, I want a fucking costume. Like, they're entertaining for what they need to be. And again, I like the way the story progressed in the director's cut more. For example, this scene is very different. When Daredevil, Matt Murdock is with Elektra and sees her in the rain. Again, cool visual. In the theatrical cut, he ignores what he's hearing and goes to bed with her. But in the director's cut, it's more... To me, it makes the character look better that, no, he's got to disregard the love because someone's in trouble and someone needs help. And he's got to take care of that first. Again, that makes him more of a hero. That makes him more heroic. That makes him more tragic. Of he's got to do his his due diligence, and then that's where it leads to him being the crap out of this person. And then this little kid scared of him. Is like, listen, I'm not the bad guy. And, just as Jon Favreau says later, what happens to that lie detector when it detects your own bullshit? Oh, and Joe Pantoliano, who's in the film as a reporter, he's given more time to be fleshed out a bit more in this version. Because in the theatrical cut, he kind of just appears randomly. Here, it seems like he does know Matt Murdock a bit more. Like he's in more connection with Matt Murdock, and that maybe they kind of are friends, or if you want to say friends, but that's what I mean. The director's cut makes the movie has a better flow, make a bit more sense. The fight scene's a bit more fluent, and like I said, there's more of Daredevil as a character and less of this love story because we want to be Spider-Man 2002 because that was a hit. And it made it feel like more of its own movie. It made it feel a bit of a darker movie. And that's why I say, for people who get so mad about Daredevil, check out the director's cut. If you still don't like it, then we just agree to disagree. But check out the director's cut. It is an improved version. And again, I never hated the theatrical cut. But I remember seeing the director's cut and going, wow, this is rather good. Why were these scenes not cut in? Why was this not released? I love the added bit where, as part of the investigation, this guy who he knows lied on during a trial, he just starts driving the car as he's blind, going this bumper car back and forth to steer the guy into telling him the truth. I thought that was a nice scene that should have been left in the movie. The fight scene with Kingpin is extended, where Daredevil gets a lot more punches into Kingpin. Like, the fight in the theatrical felt a bit too short and a little bit too anticlimactic, but the fight in this is longer. Because for the MPA, they cut out the punches, cut out this, and Butterclaw don't you spit out blood, and you got, I think the MPA were beaches back then. Now, I will say the CGI, like there's a bit where Daredevil fights Bullseye in this church and they're going up this organ. It looks really bad. It does not look good at all. Again, you just say the same thing with 2002 Spider-Man. Just CGI in this era, it does not hold up well at all. And that's, I think, the biggest flaw of the film is that it does have some really bad CG. And yeah, that organ fight is one of the worst offenders of it in the church. And that hampers the fight that he has with Bullseye. But there's also some nice elements too. Like I like the bit where he outwits Bullseye by grabbing the guy, hearing the sniper, moving it so that the bullet goes right through both of Bullseye's hands. I thought that was a cool idea. Thought that was a neat idea. So it's that he outwitted him. I did Jennifer Garner's Elektra. Maybe it's hampered by the fact that I hated the movie Elektra. And Jennifer Garner, she's not like a favorite actress of mine. I didn't watch her TV show. I just know her from her movies. I wasn't really big on what was that action movie she did? Had a really weird title. Not Jawbreaker. That's a different movie. Some kind of food or something. It was like peppermint. Is that what that was called? Or I don't know. I remember not really being a fan of it. I liked the Kingdom that she was in, which was a supporting role. But I mean, she's fine, and to be she's fine. I could deal with her. This is when her and Ben Affleck were becoming an item. So I could deal with it for what it is. Kevin Smith, he has a cameo as a coroner. Almost forgot about that. Once Kevin Smith was worth a spit. But yeah, everyone and their mom and their dad hated this film. And at the time, it got some good critical reviews. I think it got, I think Roger Ebert gave it a thumbs up. I think was it Ebert and Roper? I think it got 2 thumbs up. I believe. But, again, everyone started hating it because especially when the new show came out, which that's why, another reason why I don't really watch the show, is that it'd be a bias. Just being honest, it'd be a bias, just more hate towards the movie came about when that show came out. I'm sitting there going, I don't think this movie's bad. I think this movie's better than the last 10 Marvel films. I'll say that with a straight face. I think it's underrated, especially the director's cut. Again, I always liked it more than Spider-Man movies. I think Ben Affleck does a better job as the lead. I don't think he's as bad as people make it out to be. I'm sorry, Ben. I don't think it's as bad as you make it out to be. The soundtrack, I love the soundtrack. I think the fight scenes are fun. I think, the banter between you and Jon Favreau rather good. I like the darkness it showcases throughout. I got into the story. I think the villains, Michael Clarke Duncan, Colin Farrell, rather solid. They're fun. They got personality and liveliness to them. Again, if the CGI was worked on to look a bit better and more natural, and I don't know, change the playground fight to just have a regular playful fight, but you're both blocking each other and you're even. That would have been better without jumping on the playground stuff. Just have an actual, just fight playful and you're both blocking each other's moves. Like that would work. It'd be more simple, but it would be it'd be less goofy looking. But yeah, and I also like the idea of you're a guy who grew up in Hell's Kitchen who wants to protect it, but realizes, hey, I'm not the bad guy. I can't go too far. And I'll tell him, yeah, go ahead. Tell the people at Rikers that you got beaten by a blind man. Won't back down. I won't back down. I would say my favorite song is "Bring Me to Life," but "Won't Bat Down" is pretty good. Like I said, what was it? "Right Before Your Eyes," that was a good one. Changing, changing. So yeah, Daredevil, I still think is an underrated film. I'll defend it, especially the director's cut. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.